Hey everybody, so I have a long story time for you guys. Sorry if this video is uploaded late. My neighbors who live upstairs were literally like scraping the fucking wood off of their floor, so I have been listening to that for the past 2 hours while I've been trying to get filming. Also, by the way, if you guys made it this far into the intro, please drop some names down below in the comments for me to use because I am running out of names. But yeah, without further ado, let's get into today's story time. I'm going to bring you guys up close. There we go. Also, guys, I got my nails done. And listen, that might not seem like a big deal because Kaylee, you always have your nails done. Listen, if you did not watch the last video, my nails have been looking like shit. I have got my nails done probably around like 5 to 6 times while I've been down here within the past 2 months, and every single time they have literally fallen off or my nails are literally just so broken down to the point where nothing stays on them. But these are the new nails. I'm literally in love with them. It's low-key giving like Maddie vibes from Euphoria. Period. Okay, before we get into today's video, I'm going to do my quick usual little rundown. So for most of the video, I will be looking in this direction because my mirror's over here and I would like to see what I'm doing. I do tell these story times in a first person point of view. If you do not like that, then you can leave. And these story times are sent in by anonymous people. All right, y'all, if I've said it once, I'm gonna say it again. Grab that basket of laundry or take me to whatever room in your house needs to be cleaned because today is a fucking long one, ladies. And we might as well be productive while we're listening to me spill the tea. Period. We love a productive queen. Okay, so story time about my backstabbing best friend. So a little background information. I was 16 and a sophomore in high school. And by the way, this story time is pretty much just gonna be all of the shitty things that my best friend did to me leading up until I decided to finally cut her off. So we're just gonna call my best friend Sarah. Sarah and I had been best friends since 7th grade. And I should have known right from the jump that Sarah was on some other shit whenever I met her. Let me give you guys a little backstory, okay? So the one day I get home from school and I go to take my dog on a walk, and right behind my house was my like neighborhood park. There were a few pavilions and a basketball court and a trail. Well, I would always, right after school, this was literally like my routine. I would get home after school, grab my dog, take him on a walk behind my house through the trail. Well, as I'm about to get on the trail, this particular day, I passed by one of the pavilions and I see this girl who has a lighter in one hand and she's burning pictures and stuffed animals, throwing them into this metal trash can. Extremely creepy. And she's like mumbling and crying and she had her back faced to me. So I tried to like tiptoe past her so that way she wouldn't notice me, because honey, let me just put this out there. I am nobody's fucking therapist, okay? I'm not the bitch that's gonna sit there and make you feel better about whatever you're going through. I have enough problems of my own. If anything, I need to get a fucking therapist. But unfortunately, as I'm trying to like, you know, tiptoe past her, my dog decides that he wants to chase a squirrel that came running across the park. And let me just put this out there too. My dog was not a small dog, okay? I had a Saint Bernard who literally had the strength of like a fucking elephant. So he drags me 10 feet across the park and I'm like screaming and yelling at him. And you know what? I guess I was lucky that this girl was there, okay? Because if it wasn't for her, I probably would have been dragged like another 30 feet because she had came over, grabbed my dog's collar and like low-key pinned him to the ground. Not in like an abusive way, you know, but like more of like in a like, hey, settle down type of way, if that makes sense. And while she was doing that, I'm literally laying face down in the fucking dirt with cuts and scrapes all over me. So after she helped me up, I thanked her and she was like, you're welcome, but if I were you, I would take a shower. You kind of smell like shit. Like, bitch, did you not just see me get dragged 10 feet across the pavement, wood chips, and grass where dogs shit and piss? Of course, I'm literally going to smell like the worst thing on earth. So I was like, oh, well, thanks, Captain Obvious. And she was like, well, at least I help people whenever I see that they're upset or in trouble. Oh my God. So I'm like, what are you talking about? And she goes, I know you saw me over there crying and burning all that stuff. Sweetie, I'm pretty sure everybody did. Like, I'm so confused. Was that supposed to be like a cry for help or something? Like, at this point, I'm so fucking lost and I just want to go home and take a fucking shower. I'm pretty sure that there was literally shit my face. Dog shit on my face. Yes. She was like, I'm not mad at you. Like, you could have just came over and asked if I was okay. Like, girl, maybe I was having a rough day too. Did you ever think of that? And then she goes, anyways, you're welcome, and walks off all fucking dramatic. So I take my dog back to the house and I get in the fucking shower. And yes, there was in fact dog shit on my face. And I go to the kitchen table and start doing my homework. And my kitchen table, like, there was a window right in the back. The kitchen was like in the back of the house, and there was this window right beside the kitchen table. That's where you could overlook the park pretty much. And from there, I could see her still sitting at the pavilion burning shit. And it's like 7 o'clock. So she's literally been there for 3 hours. What the fuck else is there to burn? So I decided to go over there and be a semi-caring person because she did help me. And I asked her if she's okay. And she looks at me and she was like, I'm fine. I know you only came over here, like, so that way you wouldn't have a guilty conscience. You can leave now. Listen, y'all, I'm in 7th grade. I don't want to fucking deal with this bullshit. It's not the vibes. So I start walking away and then she's like, I'm sorry. It's just that my best friend is like a backstabbing psychopath and I have nobody to talk to about it.
We do not care.
And then she's like, it would really help if you would just like let me vent to you about it. So I turn around and I go and sit on the bench. And then she tells me about her best friend had liked this guy that she used to date, and her best friend stopped being best friends with her so that way she could date this guy. This is what I've been dealing with all day on a fucking Saturday. Okay guys, it has literally been a full hour since they've been doing this shit and they're still going. So I'm just gonna have to roll through it. So please bear with me. Anyway, so yeah, that's the story of how her and I became friends. She started asking me to hang out literally every single day after that. Like, no exaggeration, every single fucking day after that. And to be honest, I didn't really have too many friends, so I was willing to take all the friends that I could get, even if they were weirdos that I met in the park burning random shit. So fast forward to a week before my 15th birthday, I made plans to invite a few friends, including Sarah, to go bowling. So the night that I was making invitations and texting people about the party, Sarah was also sleeping over my house so that way she could help me make the invitations. Now personally, I would have just texted everybody telling them to come, but my mom was like super big on being formal, so she was like, you can text them, but you need to have invitations. I'll drop them off at everybody's houses. Okay, sis. Anyways, while we were making these invitations, Sarah had a lot to say about the guest list. She was pissed. She was like, girl, I will not come if you invite Nate, Olivia, or Jackie. Now, I'm gonna give you the reason why all these people are on Sarah's shit list. So Sarah doesn't like Olivia because Sarah really liked this one guy, and this guy ended up really liking Olivia. Not to mention, Sarah didn't tell Olivia that she liked this guy. So Olivia had no idea that when this guy asked her out, it was going to be a full-flown, you know, argument between her and Sarah, because Sarah cut her off because she said yes to going out with this guy. Also, not to mention, Olivia was like one of our best friends. But whenever Sarah found out about this, she stopped being friends with Olivia, and she got super mad at me whenever she found out that I was talking to Olivia. So like, I had to hide that Olivia and I were friends for like a whole year until I told her, listen, I don't give a fuck who you don't like. I'm friends with Olivia. She did nothing wrong. And Jackie called Sarah out on her shit whenever Sarah tried telling Jackie's boyfriend that she sent nudes to Jaden, and Jaden is Sarah's older brother, and he's like a year older than all of us. But Jackie threatened to tell the school, and Sarah's brother would get in trouble for having CP, even though she didn't even send nudes to him. I don't even know. By the way, we're gonna call Sarah's older brother Jaden, okay? Like I said, y'all, try to keep up, please. And last but not least, Nate. Now, Sarah had no reason to dislike Nate, okay? But Nate was literally my guy best friend. Like, if I wasn't with Sarah, I was with Nate. Jaden and Nate were like best friends. They met in kindergarten, and ever since Sarah met Nate, she has had the biggest crush on him. Now, of course, Sarah would not admit this to me, but you know how you can tell whenever somebody likes someone, like they just like turn into a completely different person around them. Their personality changes, their voice changes. Yeah, that was Sarah when she was in a room with Nate. And ever since Nate and I became best friends, and we became friends like a little bit after I met Sarah, ever since we became best friends, Sarah decided that she hated Nate because he was, quote, mean to her, when it was really just because she didn't want him and I hanging out. Because she thinks that everybody that she hates, I'm just gonna jump on the back of her little bandwagon and be like, fuck you. Like, no, that's not how I work. Because besides these people, I learned my lesson with her, okay? She had stopped being friends with this one girl who was in our science class, and she was like, no, you can't talk to her because she did this. And I was like, okay, whatever. And this girl and I were like low-key friends, and I stopped being friends with her because Sarah told me to, and then Sarah decided that she was going to be best friends with her 3 days later, and then this bitch hated me because I just decided to hop on, you know, what everybody else was on. So yeah, do not jeopardize your character for somebody else. Anyways, I tell her that they're coming and I'm not gonna uninvite them because that's fucking rude. And she's like, okay, whatever, fine, they can come. Like, girl, they were gonna come anyways. You don't have a say. Shut up. So fast forward a week later to Sunday, aka my birthday, aka the day of my party. So before my party like started, before we were supposed to go bowling, everybody was supposed to meet at my house at 4 o'clock, and we were all supposed to eat and go swimming. Well, I want to say about like a half an hour before the party started, I hadn't heard anything from anybody since like 2:30. So I texted them trying to get an update on what the plan was, and nobody was answering me, not even Nate or Sarah. So I'm really confused and annoyed at this point, as anybody would most definitely be. And my mom keeps asking me where everybody is, what's going on, just making me more upset. Like, you know, whenever people already know what's going on, but they just keep nagging you just to hear you say what's going on? Yeah, that's pretty much what she was doing, and it was pissing me the fuck off. Well, thankfully, 3 people ended up showing up, but it was my 2 cousins who were 4 years younger than me, and the 1 cousin who was actually my age, but we barely even knew each other because they lived on the opposite side of the country. So yay me! So at around 5 o'clock, we go to the bowling alley, we pick out our bowling balls, and we walk over to our lane, and guess who I see? Go ahead, guess. You'll never guess, you'll never guess. It's Sarah, Nate, Jackie, Olivia, and 2 of the other people who were supposed to be at my party. And I am very, very, very fucking confused because just last week, Sarah supposedly hated Jackie, Nate, and Olivia. So what's going on? So I walk over there and I'm like, hey, like, where were you guys? And Sarah like looks at me like, oh fuck. Not really oh fuck, like more in a way of like, I planned this, but like, now I'm scared. And then she goes, OMG, we've been waiting for you here since like 3 o'clock. She was like, I thought you said to be here by 3. Even though her and I were literally texting last night about what time she had to be at my fucking house. And I was like, well, do none of you check your phone? And she was like, well, when we got here at 3, we started to play a few games and we get like no service in here. And then I was like, well, you guys were supposed to be at my house by 4. And then everybody else was like, oh, well, Sarah said you wanted us to meet you here at 3, like change of plans. So at that point, I'm literally just staring at her like, and then she goes, well, the invitations were super confusing, so how was I supposed to know? So after a few awkward, silent moments, I ask everyone if they want to come over and, you know, play a few games over where I was, like at my bowling lane. And Sarah cuts me off and she's like, well, since we've been here for so long, we didn't think you were going to show up. So we made dinner reservations somewhere. And everyone was like, yeah, like, sorry, we're super hungry, you know. Well, pretty much everybody except for Nate. And Nate could obviously see that I was really upset. So he was like, you know, try to joke with me a little bit lightheartedly. And he was like, I'll ask my mom if she can pick me up later if you buy me some McDonald's. I literally fucking love this kid. And Sarah's like, Nate, we made reservations. You have to come with us. And Sarah's literally giving me a fucking death stare. So I was already super upset and really annoyed and embarrassed at this point, so I just told Nate to go with them. So later on that night at around 1 in the morning, I text Sarah and I'm like, so when did you all of a sudden become best friends with Nate, Olivia, and Jackie again? And she texted me and she was like, well, I decided since they were gonna be at your party, I just wanted to squash the beef because I know that you wouldn't want there to be any drama. And then I texted her back and I was like, yeah, sis, speaking of that, what the fuck happened? Like, we had literally talked about what time you were supposed to be here the night before, less than 24 hours before the fucking party. And she was like, well, you really hurt my feelings whenever you pretty much didn't care about the fact that I felt uncomfortable with them being at your party. So I texted her back and I'm like, so you took this whole week to kiss everybody's ass so that you could be friends with everyone again and embarrass the fuck out of me. And she was like, well, when you put it like that, of course it's gonna sound bad. Fast forward a few days later, Sarah had her mom drive her to my house and she was like, I'm sorry, like, you know, I just have really bad PTSD from my past best friend. Girl, that was in 7th grade. Get the fuck over yourself. Get over yourself. But at that point, I was like low-key forced to forgive her because another part of my birthday present was to go to Disney World. And my parents and her parents planned the trip because our parents are like low-key besties. So I had to wait another month before I could completely kick her to the curb. But it just so happens that that trip actually went really well, and so did the month leading up to it. Like, we had the best time at Disney. So I guess I decided to not kick her to the curb. How stupid of me. So fast forward to the next year, our school was having a Sadie's dance, aka where the girls asked the guys. And over the summer, Nate and I had been spending a lot of time together and becoming a little bit more than friends. I mean, we were still best friends, but like we would low-key hook up here and there. And I was planning on telling Sarah about it, but the issue was she was super fucking judgmental, so I had my reasons. And I had kept it from her all summer, which was not easy because literally she would ask me to hang out every day, okay? And not only would she ask me to hang out every day, if I didn't answer, she would call my mom to ask my mom where I was. And my mom knew about Nate and I, so like whenever she would call my mom asking where I was, my mom knew the drill. She would be like, oh, she's grounded, or oh, she's volunteering right now at an animal shelter. Just some elaborate ass stories because Sarah was a fucking psycho. I think she honestly thought that I had like replaced her with a new best friend or something because that's literally how her mind works. Anyways, 3 weeks before the Sadie's dance, Sarah and I are having a sleepover and she's like, I don't know who I should ask to the Sadie's dance, like who are you thinking of asking? And I'm like, okay, I'm going to tell you something, but you cannot get mad at me or like judge me or anything. She was like, okay, spill it already. I doubt I'm even gonna care. Okay. So I was like, okay, so over the summer, Nate and I have been hanging out a lot. And she like cuts me off and she's like, yeah, Nate and I have been hanging out a lot this summer too. What about it? Okay, I probably should have like stopped at that point, okay? Because at that point, I already felt like I knew what this was gonna turn into. And then she's like, wait, before you finish, I was gonna tell you this like a few weeks ago, but I think Nate likes me. And I was like taken back. Here we go. And I was like, oh, like, why do you think he likes you? Like, what? Like, I didn't say it like in a bitchy way. I was like, oh, really? Like, why? What has he been saying or doing lately? And she like starts to get all giddy and she's like, well, like whenever he comes over to hang out with Jaden, he'll like leave Jaden for like a little bit to come and just talk to me. And like he asked me if I wanted to go on vacation with like his family this summer. Now at this point, I'm kind of debating whether I should hold off on telling her about Nate and I until I was like, well, do you like him back? And she goes, well, like I would have told you sooner, but I just like thought you would get really jealous. But like I definitely don't like him at all. Like I just didn't want you to get upset and like get your hopes up if he like doesn't like you back because he likes me. So now I'm like, okay, we are going to not spare this girl's feelings today. And I'm like, well, if you don't really like him like that, then I guess it's okay if I just tell you. And she's like, tell me what? Like in a way like, oh my god, I want to fucking murder you because I liked him. I was like, him and I have been hooking up over the summer. And she like stared at me wide-eyed. She's like, what, like making out or doing the nasty? And I'm like, not that, but Also, not just making out. And I kid you not, she literally goes and she says, "Oh my God, you're actually a fucking whore. What is wrong with you?" I didn't expect that one, even though I probably should have expected it. She was like, "First you decide that you like Nate. That's one thing, but you guys are hooking up and you're not even dating? I thought you had better morals than that, honestly. And you didn't even tell me about it." Like, does she not get this is the exact reason why I did not tell her what was going on in my life? Like, this was the exact fucking reason why. She doesn't know shit. So I'm like, this is the reason why I didn't fucking tell you. And she's like, "Well, if nobody else is gonna tell you, so I figured you might as well just hear the truth from your best friend." Please use the best friend word lightly. And she goes, "And you know, other people are gonna say the same thing because Nate has a really loud mouth." First of all, no the fuck Nate does not. No, he does not. That was pretty much just her excuse of saying, "I'm going to tell everybody and I'm going to blame it on Nate." Because like I said, Nate and I have been hooking up the whole summer, and school starts up again. I didn't hear shit about it. There were no rumors or anything that anything was going on between Nate and I. And then Sarah's like, "Well, I don't even know if I can trust you in my house anymore, to be honest, because you know that Nate is spending the night tonight." I don't remember if I mentioned this or not, but remember, Sarah's older brother, Jaden, and Nate are best friends. They're both in the same grade. They're both a year older than Sarah and I. So anyways, fast forward, Sarah's sleeping. It's 3 in the morning and I asked Nate if he wants to hang out. He's like, "Yeah, sure, just come over to Jaden's room." Jaden was super nice and he low-key knew about Nate and I, so he was like super supportive. So Nate tells Jaden, "Oh, we're gonna go take a walk." And he's like, "Bro, if you guys just want to do it on my bed, I can leave. Or like, I can stay if that's what you guys are into." Like, what a fucking weirdo. Anyway, so Nate and I go on this walk and I tell him that I wanted to ask him to Sadie's and like what this would mean for us. And he's like, "Well, to be honest, I want to be in a relationship with you." He was like, "You know, like we've been doing like random shit like the past few months. I don't just want it to be like a friends with benefits type of relationship." So I told him to give me a week because I needed to figure out how the fuck I was gonna tell Sarah this, which I also felt bad because I would have told him right then and there, like, yes, like we're in a relationship, done, good, because I did not want him to think that he was like my backup plan or I had anybody else waiting. Fast forward to Monday, there's rumors that Nate and I are hooking up and that he's using me. Also, there's rumors that I did stuff with him and Jaden at the same time, and I knew it was Sarah who spread these rumors because she's a fucking weirdo like that. So then Nate asked me, he's like, "Yo, like, did you tell anybody?" And I was like, "No, but I know that Sarah did." Because Olivia told me that during their history class, she was like spreading around rumors to everybody. So I text Sarah after school and I'm like, "What the actual fuck?" And she's like, "What do you mean?" And I'm like, I don't think it's a coincidence that everybody knows that Nate and I are hooking up when I just told you about it. And before that, nobody else knew. And she was like, "I'm sorry, B. I told you that Nate had a loud mouth. You should have listened to me." And to be honest, one of those rumors is that he's only using you for head. So honestly, I think you should just drop him. Like, you're way up here and he's like down here. So I told her we're not friends anymore. I fucking hate you. And then Olivia texted me and she was like, "Yeah, whenever she was spreading those rumors around during history, she also told Emmy that she wants to ask Nate to Sadie's." Now, Emmy is Nate's younger sister and she's in our grade. Little backstory on Emmy: the only reason why this bitch is stuck up Sarah's ass is literally because she likes Sarah's older brother. Sarah likes her older brother. So they both have something in common. So they can both kind of like pick at each other's, you know, brothers and be like, "Okay, you tell him this about me, I'll tell my brother this about you." Nate had told me about this the one night whenever I was over his house. We were up in his room, snuggling, watching movies. And anytime that Emmy heard that I was coming over, she would immediately invite over Sarah. So I guess they came up with a plan to say that we were doing the nasty and they could hear it. So they told Nate's mom that, and I wasn't allowed to go over to Nate's house after that. Like, she literally told me, like, she came up to the room and she was like, "Both of you get downstairs now. You, I'm taking you home." And Nate texted me that night saying, "Hey, like, Sarah's like saying some pretty wild shit about the reason why you haven't said yes to me asking you out is because there's someone else. And now I had it out for this bitch, and I just didn't answer his text message. I was like done. I was like I was ready to put this bitch in a coffin and fucking put a nail in it. So the one day while Nate was over Jaden and Sarah's house, I decided that was gonna be the day that I asked Nate to be my boyfriend, and I asked him to Sadie's. So my mom and I went to the store, we bought some stuff to make a sign, and we went to Dunkin' Donuts, and we got this like little box of donuts, and I wrote it on the donuts in icing, "Will you be my boyfriend?" And then I made him like the cutest little like Sadie sign that was decorated with like Swedish fish. And it was like, "Nate, out of all the fish in the sea, will you go to Sadie's with me?" It was just literally so cute. Now, this is gonna be super embarrassing if he already said yes to going with Sarah, because I know that her plan was to ask him the day that I was going over there to ask him. Also, I didn't answer his text from the night before, so I was like, oh shit, like now he might just like be going with her just because he thinks that there's somebody else. So I really was going out on a limb here for this one. So I pull up to Sarah's house, I text her mom asking her if she can send Nate outside, and she, I guess, told Nate that I was here, and everybody walks outside, including Emmy, Jaden, Sarah, and Nate. And I'm holding up the sign, and Nate had like the biggest smile on his face. He's so cute. And he comes over, and I open the Dunkin' Donuts box, and I'm like, "Will you be my boyfriend?" And of course he says yes, because you know. And the look on Sarah's face, if looks could kill, every single one of us would have been dead. She stomps inside the fucking house and she starts screaming and crying, and you can hear her banging on shit. Like, what a 2-year-old. Handle your emotions the right fucking way. It's not my problem that you're a fucking bitch. So then later on that night, I get a text message from her saying that I'm a backstabbing bitch and I'm just like her old best friend. She knew she shouldn't have tried. Me. She hopes that Nate and I die on the way to Sadie's in a car accident, or that I get pregnant as a teenager and Nate leaves me. Just a lot of hurtful things, and like that wasn't even the worst of the worst that was in that message, okay? But a month later, Olivia and Jackie told me that, because like they were still talking to Sarah just to come back and bring me the tea. They were like, yeah, Sarah keeps saying how like Nate's definitely gonna leave you to be with her, and how like Nate like always talks to her whenever he goes over to Jaden's house, which I know isn't true. Well, fast forward, you know, she's still saying, oh, it's only a matter of time before he leaves her. Nate and I have been together for a few years, and he actually just asked me to marry him. Okay, everybody, that is the end of today's story time. If you guys like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, and if you want to see more of me, maybe hit that subscribe button down below. And if you want to know when I post my next video, make sure to click that bell. And don't forget, if you guys want to send in your anonymous story time, make sure to click the link down below in the description. But other than that, I will see you guys next Saturday with a new story time.